Welcome on in, everyone, to the North from Philly podcast. I'm your host, Adam from Wales, and I'm here with my partner in crime, a good buddy, Justin from Tennessee. And as you can see, me and Justin, we're in our Eagles gear today because it's the kickoff show, the official Eagles kickoff show for the North from Philly podcast. When we started the podcast last season, we were a few games in. I believe our first game was the Jaguars game, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember.
Yep.
We were reacting to the Jaguars game, and then we just went on this incredible ride through the season. Had a lot of fun. Ended up with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. So it couldn't have been a better year to start this podcast. It was great. It was so cool. And but this year, we're going to be going from the very first game all the way to hopefully February. So don't want to talk too soon. Obviously, touch wood, and pause. But it's going to be a long. Well, I say a long season. The NFL season goes pretty quick. It goes really fast when you get into it. Like preseason's gone in a flash, even though it's only 3 games, but it has gone really quick. Training camp has gone by in a flash. So today we're gonna break down, what we've, seen and heard from training camp and from what we've seen of the preseason games. Me and Just Hamlong both finished watching the last night's game against the Jets, which,
obviously,
the last 2 preseason games, they haven't been the most entertaining of games. There's been a couple of flashy moments for 1 or 2 players, but overall it's been a bit dreadful. Seeing Tanner McKee get that start was really good. That was really, good to see. So we'll touch on Tanner McKee and everything, little bits of news surrounding him of whether he could still be a trade piece. And I don't think they should trade him. I think that would be a bad idea at this point. I don't care who, if they did somehow make a magic deal for Micah Parsons or Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals, I wouldn't trade Tanner McKee because he's just too important as a
yes.
There's not many teams can say that they've got a quarterback that can actually come in and could take the team to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're really fortunate to have that. So yeah. So just how are you doing, buddy? How are you feeling now, going into the new season? There's a good chance the Eagles could go back-to-back this year. There's just as much chance they couldn't because we've lost a lot of players. We've got some, brought some good free agents in. We've, Jahad Campbell has really, looked good in training camp and preseason. Looks like he's going to be the starter next to Zach Bourne while Nakobe Dean is out. So how are you feeling just about the Birds going into the new season?
It's been a wild off season, kind of euphoric, I guess you would say. Coming off of our second Super Bowl, that's 2 more than I thought I'd ever get to see. I thought we were cursed as Eagle fans, but we've been lucky enough to go to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years. Should have won them both, but we won one, and that's more than Browns and Lions fans have seen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just been, I don't know, it's been like the off season's been like a blur almost. It seems just like yesterday we were celebrating a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how quickly an NFL season can go by once you get into it. It's like the off season flew by, man. It's just like a blur to me. Like it was almost like we finished the Super Bowl and then a couple of weeks later we were into the draft. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. I love Jahad Campbell. I love the pick. I love the fact that he's going to be out there flying around next to Zach Bond. I hate it for Trot Jr. Because I thought Trot Jr. might be next man up, something like that, and they would move Campbell around a little bit, and they still very well could. They could get Trot Jr. out there, and I mean Trot Jr. is going to be have to be ready to come off the bench in case of injury. A lot of injuries go around in the league, but I'm looking forward to it. We've got a rookie safety possibly going to be starting in Andrew Makuba. We've got a new right guard starting beside Lane Johnson, whomever that may be, whether it be Tyler Steen. That's who I think it'll be right now. Because Green who they traded for from Houston, he's been injured pretty much all of camp, it seems like.
Yeah.
And the old saying goes, you can't make the club in the tub.
Mm.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. It just to see everybody saying, well, this is a Jalen Hurts prove it year. They're not going to be able to lean on Saquon as much this year as they did last year because everybody's going to be ready for that. I'm looking forward to just seeing how it all unfolds. I
Yeah.
really am. It's going to be crazy interesting because everybody saw how well Jalen played at the Super Bowl, and that wasn't the first time he played really well in the Super Bowl. That's the
Mm.
second time he's played really well in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I mean, and also right now, if you guys have paid attention to the NFL Top 100, there's a possibility Jalen Hurts could not be in the top 100 with the way it's falling
Yeah.
out.
I don't think he's
And
going to be.
yeah,
I
that
think
would
he made
be
it.
insane to me that a
Yeah.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, although they vote on this during the season, I reckon, from what I was told. So it's going to be an interesting season, man. No doubt.
Yeah. So I guess let's start there then with QB1 because obviously he's the leader of the team. He like you said in the past he sets the temperature.
Yep.
It is still madness to see all the, and don't get me wrong, like we're realistic on our podcast. We are, obviously we love Jalen Hurts because he's brought us another Super Bowl. He's becoming a better leader year on year. He's becoming a better player year on year. And don't get me wrong, he has his faults, like every other player, like every other quarterback. Is he ever gonna put up the numbers of Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Matthew Stafford and all these great passing numbers? And no, he's never going to. Even with AJ Brown and Devontae and that, that's not the type of offense he wants to run. Clearly, it's not the type of offense the Eagles want to run. I know there was all this talk before. If you remember the last few years, when we were coming to the end of Carson Wentz, the thing was Jeffrey Lurie wanted the Eagles to just throw the ball. He didn't run the ball. And it was
Yeah.
constantly, the fans going outside of the NovaCare with the signs, run the ball,
Yep.
run the ball. And slowly it caught on and they brought in Saquon and now they all put it together. But they're never going to be that team. And Jalen wants, I don't know how many times he has to repeat it to people. He wants to win.
Yep.
So his main concern going into a game from that first snap to the last is, have they done everything they can to win the game? If that's throwing the ball, running the ball, if the defense has to, win a game or two, which did happen last year. You know what I mean? Down in
Yeah.
New Orleans, the Jaguars game, that amazing last minute interception from Kobe Dean sealed the win.
Yep.
And look where the defense was. What I loved about the Super Bowl was it was a complete game when you look at it. Jake Elliott was fantastic on special teams. Jalen played absolutely MVP lights out, outdueling Patrick Mahomes. The defense were absolute nightmare, were monsters.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They put a beating on Patrick Mahomes like he's never had in his career. You know what I mean? And so that was a complete game, and that's what Jalen cares about. And I seen an interesting video yesterday on it was a clip on Twitter. I don't get the show in the UK; it doesn't come on over here. But I watched the clips of Dan Orlovsky and Stephen A. Smith, but I really like that. Is it Ryan Clark on ESPN Get Up? And he made a really I don't know if it was a few days old, but he made a real interesting statement regarding Jalen Hurts, because obviously Cam Newton, sort of dismissed how good Jalen Hurts was a couple months back, and he just he didn't tear into Cam Newton, but he really did make him look foolish in what he said, because you know what I mean. He pointed out, like I have, there's all these other comparisons of other quarterbacks. So they've done this, they've done that, they've got these numbers. Jalen hasn't done this, but he was saying, who's beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? Well, it's Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and Tom Brady. There's no one else has beaten Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. As hard as he tries, and as great a player as Josh Allen is, and he'd probably be in the NFL Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? And I hope one day he can get the Buffalo Bills a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But not at the expense of the Eagles, obviously.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you know, and he pointed all that out. You know what I mean? He's got 2 Pro Bowls. Jalen has. You know what I mean? Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl, but he did nothing in that Super Bowl. You know what I mean? He
Yes.
became a complete shell of himself. You know, and it was just a great like statement of not why you should be an all true believer in Jalen Hurts, but why he deserves the credit he should have, why he deserves respect, and he just doesn't get it. You know, he
Yeah.
just doesn't get that respect throughout the league. Case in point, like you said, he might not end up in this NFL 100.
Yeah.
Top players. We've seen a lot of other Eagles go in it. AJ Brown, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter.
Jordan Mailata,
Jordan
Saquon.
Mailata, Saquon, and it doesn't look like Jalen is going to be, because are they near the top 10 now, or near the top 15?
Yeah,
I
I think
think.
they're top 10, top 15 now.
Yeah, and if Jalen does get in there, that'll be cool. But Jalen doesn't. The most important thing is Jalen doesn't care, because all Jalen cares about is winning. So his
Winning. Yep.
focus, you know what I mean. You've seen what he was like at the flaming Super Bowl ceremony. As the likes of me and you, we would have been. What's that saying? Like a puppy with two Peters, two Peters.
And a puppy with 2 Peters and don't know
two,
what to do with either one of them.
yeah. I was listening. I was listening to a bit of WIP earlier, and Spike trying to copy your terminologies. It's just hilarious.
Spike just wants to throw 2 Peters in any chance he gets.
He mixes everything in with two Peters,
Yeah.
a black bird with 2 Peters, and cornbread. But yeah, so. Jalen doesn't care. He didn't even put the ring on at the Super Bowl ceremony. I'm sure he put it on in private, to celebrate with his family and stuff, because he is that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mindset. You know what I mean? Is he ever going to be, when it's all said and done, are people going to say Jalen Hurts was to that standard of like playing like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant? Probably not, but they won't be able to discourage his well, obviously like his talent, but they won't be able to discourage his dedication, his work ethic, and especially if it's brought the Eagles more Super Bowls, which I think it will. That's it. QB1. He's looking like he's ready to go. He's still, he's going to be a better leader again. So how do you think, Just right? Obviously, Elliott, we love Elliott, and he gets a lot of criticism with the quarterback stats in training camp. Some people love them, some people hate them. I don't mind them personally, because we're far from Philadelphia. You know what I mean?
Elliott's my guy, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We're Go Birds. We love James. We love Elliott. And I think it's really great that somebody gets to go there to represent. You know what I mean? It's probably at the point now where WIP are expecting Elliott every year now to go there and do this, because it brings a lot of good content. And it's great for the fans. It's great for fans like me and you who are not in Philadelphia, and we don't have that privilege of being able to go to the NovaCare, watch a training camp. We can only go by what we see on Twitter, and I think a lot of people give Elliott criticism for being like clickbait and all this, but I don't think it is. I think Elliott gives his true opinion of what he sees on that day.
Yep.
And if he thinks Jalen has had a bad training camp that day, he says it. You know what I mean? As where some other beat writers, they don't quite, or it's like they don't want to give that honesty,
Yeah.
And so I really like what Elliott does with the training camps. He's honest. They seem really accurate. So from the looks of the QB stats and all that, Jalen's had a mixed bag of a training camp. You know what I mean? He's been not great, not perfect, not bad. He's had a couple of tough days. He's had a good days. He ended on a really good day. The last day of training camp was like fantastic. I think he was like, I can't remember the exact numbers on the top of my head, but he was like 14 of 16, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like that along those lines. And it ended great. So how do you feel about Jalen going into the new season, going off of the training camp he's just had, the QB stats? How are you feeling, Just?
Well, maybe it's just the opposite of last year, because last year, if you remember correctly, like Elliott couldn't rave enough about Jalen, how good he looked. He broke the interception record. So many
Yeah.
attempts without an interception and all that stuff. He almost went the entire camp without an interception, whatever
Darius
it
Slay
was.
intercepted him on the very last
Yeah,
day of training camp.
there you go. And Elliott was just going on and raving about how good he was. And this year he's kind of been so-so. So maybe Jalen breaks out this year, has an MVP type regular season,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it leads us to back-to-back Super Bowls. Maybe it's just the opposite of last year. So
Yeah.
that's I mean, I think everything you said is 100%. Jalen does not care about stats and touchdowns and all this stuff. All Jalen wants to do is win. That's all he wants to do is win. He is as much, he's so stoic, and a lot of people give him flack for it, but like, he's such a team guy. He's just, like I said, he just wants to win. He doesn't care how it looks, how it happens, if he wins by 3 or if he wins by 30. Now, I do believe during that Super Bowl, he wanted to put 60 on the Chiefs. If you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that clip
Yeah.
where he goes over to Sirianni, he's like, "You sure? You sure we're good?" Like that, he wanted more. And then it pans over and it shows him on the sideline talking to Devontae and Saquon and all those guys, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Damn, man, we're up 40 points." And they're like, "What more do you want?" He's like, "I want 60."
Yeah.
Because he knew the Chiefs had nothing for them. He
Mm.
knew, and I don't know if you caught this during the last preseason game last night, but Ross Tucker, it showed a Chiefs fan in the stands sitting with an Eagles fan,
Yeah.
and he said as long as she knows the final score of that game is 40-6, he said
Yeah.
that's what the final score. It may have said 40-22 when it was over. He said the final score was 40-6 because the Eagles had their entire second team defense out there, the entire second team offense out there.
Yeah.
That game was 40-6. So I mean, it, he will beat you by 100 if he can, but he's fine with a 1 point victory too, as long as he gets
Yeah.
that win.
Yeah.
That's
That's
how I
that's
see it.
that's what it is. And you talk about like the Jalen mindset. I think he's, by him being the way he is, it has, and the culture. Obviously, we've talked about this a lot of times. That him and Nick, the understanding that they have, the culture that they've built there now
Yeah,
over the last 5 years they've been together, and that's bled into, obviously, Vic Fangio. We finally got Vic Fangio last year to be the defensive coordinator after trying a couple of
yeah,
times and not really making that big push to really get him, because they took Jonathan Gannon and I can't remember the guy that came in after Jonathan Gannon. I can't remember his name.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
dude.
yeah, but they were both like flops really, and they finally got Vic Fangio, and Vic Fangio already sort of had that mindset because he came to
Yes.
the Eagles, and like you're saying this week, Vic Fangio, they won the Super Bowl. The first thing Vic Fangio did was go, when he went back in the locker room
Yeah.
with his defense, he ripped them for allowing the Chiefs to put 22 points on the board, even though it was in garbage time
Yeah.
and what have you. That was like one of the first things he said to the defense before,
I,
and
I I really wonder how the 23 season would have went had they been able to hire Fangio instead of
yeah,
whomever the guy was that we can't remember, Sean Desai.
Sean
Sean
Desai,
Desai.
yeah,
Because they wanted Fangio, and
yeah,
Gannon screwed them. Gannon led them to believe that he
yeah,
was coming back, and then at the last minute, he took that Cardinals job, and Fangio had already taken the Dolphins job.
yeah,
So I just wonder what. I think we needed the 23 season to happen to be
yeah,
able to get to where we got last year. But I
mm,
wonder if the 23 season would have been different with Fangio as defensive coordinator rather than Desai. Granted, I'll take the 23 season knowing that it got us the Super Bowl last year.
yeah,
But I just wonder. I'll always have that in the back of my head because if you have Fangio, is the defense as bad as it was?
yeah,
Is there a collapse? We may not even have won the Super Bowl in 23, and like I said, we may have needed that collapse and everybody just crashing down in 23 to get to the Super Bowl and win it last year. But
yeah.
that'll always be there.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't blame you really because like you think I don't think it would have led to us, going to the Super Bowl that year because I think the bigger issues and the bigger talk points were around the offense. I think later
Yeah.
on, I know the defense sort of collapsed but if you remember, before they sort of like demoted Sean Desai, he had really two good games where the defense looked quite good. They held the Chiefs to a low scoring game when they beat the
Yeah.
Chiefs in Kansas. I think there was another game. I can't remember. I don't know if it was the Buffalo game. I'm saying he was like praised for that. But
Yeah.
then they demoted him to uh, the old Patriots the coordinator Matt. No, not Matt.
Yeah. Matt.
uh,
Shit. He
Matt
sucked too.
Patricia. Is it? Was it Matt
Yep.
Patricia?
Matt
Yeah.
Patricia.
And obviously with him on, then the defense really fell apart. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think who knows? Maybe the offense still would have had their issues because there was all that stuff with Jalen and AJ and the play
Yep.
calling and this, that, and the other. Who knows? But yeah, I think it would have been a lot better. It would have ended a lot less, we wouldn't have had that disaster down in Tampa. And I think Kelsey would have been able to retire a lot happier, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
than the way he had to retire down in Tampa. But yeah, so speaking of defense and Vic Fangio, we've lost some big names on the defense last year. Williams is gone. Josh Sweat is gone.
Chauncey
So
Gardner Johnson.
Chauncey Gardner Johnson, Darius Slay
Darius
is with the
Slay.
Steelers now.
Yeah.
So there's like we said before, early on in the season, we were really looking forward to training camp because there was going to be a lot of battles in that defensive area. You know what I mean? For cornerback
Yep.
too, for safety on the defensive line. At edge. So obviously they brought in Jahad Campbell. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was battling for a spot. It doesn't look like he's won that spot. It looks like Jahad Campbell is going to be the starter. I think they will use Trotter in certain situations. You know what I mean? Certain defensive looks. They're not just going to leave him to get cold on the bench because he has, shown flashes. So, and Jahad Campbell is a rookie at the end of the day. As good as he is, he's still a rookie, and playing that first game in the NFL to college and playing in the preseason is a lot different. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how that affects him as a rookie because Jalen Carter looked hot his first year, if you remember, for like 6 or 7 games, and then he went through that. Then he hit the rookie wall.
Yep.
So the big question, obviously, is can Vic Fangio, because our defense, if you think about it, we were in the same position we were going into the start of last season because Vic Fangio came on board, didn't know really what we had. You know what I mean? We had some veteran guys and we had some younger guys, and the thing was then it was like, right, can Vic Fangio, long as he can make this defense like a top 12, 15 defense, then if the offense is clicking, we can win the Super Bowl. And he ended up making them the first defense in the NFL, the best defense in the NFL, and then they really showed what they were like during that playoff run because they, Jalen Carter saved the day against the Rams. You know what I mean? And then they just had that monster game in the Super Bowl. So we weren't expecting that of the defense. We were happy. We got Vic Fangio, and we were like, yeah, if you can keep us at a, between 10 and 15 top defense in the NFL, then that would be fantastic. But so he's sort of in the same position this year, but obviously a lot younger. Because a lot of vets are gone, like Brandon Graham's retired, obviously, Darius Slay, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, Williams, and Sweat have gone. And, so Vic's had a lot of work to do. Sidney Brown has been battling for that starting safety job, but we've got Andrew Makuba who's come in. He's looked really good, but there's a bit of a setback for him now because he's hurt his hamstring. Whether he gets healthy enough to start week 1, I'm not too sure. Possibly, depending on how bad the hamstring is. I've never hurt my hamstrings. I've got no idea of what that. I got no idea what that's like. So we'll see. So there's so how do you think the defense is going to look this year? Just because there's a lot of it's probably been the biggest talking point of the off season really for the Eagles because there's just so many different avenues. So what's your thoughts on it, Just?
It really has because, like you said, there's so many new faces at so many different positions. Offense, everybody is back on offense except for the right guard, whose name's escaping me, who went to San Diego.
Mackay Becton. Yeah.
Yes, Becton. So that's the only new starter we're going to have on offense. We wound up getting everything worked out with Dallas Goddard. He's going to be back.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
glad.
I mean, everybody on offense is back. So who's going to fill the role of Milton Williams? I think it's going to be Moro Ojomo. Everybody, Lane Johnson was hyping him up during camp and everything.
Yeah.
I think Moro Ojomo is going to cause that defensive line to not miss a step. I think Moro Ojomo is a sleeping giant, sleeping beast, and I think he could have just as good, if not a better season than Milton Williams had last year. Because look at who he's playing with. He's got Jalen Carter on one side of him. You got Nolan Smith out there wreaking havoc. Jalen Hunt, who 3 years ago was playing safety at Colgate, then had a huge growth spurt and went to some Texas Christian
I
school
was
and
going to
became a
say, how was
defensive
he a
end.
safety? I just can't imagine him as a safety,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Colgate. He was a safety. Don't hold me to that. But anyway, now I mean he was wreaking havoc in the Super Bowl last year as a third round rookie. Okay,
Yeah.
a third round rookie. Bryce Huff couldn't even sniff the field. Who was
Mm,
last year our biggest free agent signing,
yeah.
and we wound up trading him away to San Francisco to reunite him with his
Yeah.
coach from
The
the Jets,
49ers. Yeah.
Sala. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something else. Like you said, I have been hard. I will be first to admit I was hard on Darius Slay. But Darius Slay had a really good season last year, and
Yeah.
it's going to be tough to replace him. It looks like it's probably going to be a Dory Jackson. I was hoping it would be Keely Ringo would step up and take that job. It's not looking good for that. I think Keely will stick around unless Howie Elliott keeps saying this, and it's happened before.
Yeah.
Happened when they brought Chauncey in from New Orleans the first time. It's happened several times. If they feel like Adoree Jackson or Keeley or whomever cannot lock down that number two corner spot opposite of Quinyon Mitchell, we've got a ton of draft picks. And
Mm,
Ike said yesterday, well, there's got to be somebody out there that's not happy. Well, not necessarily not happy, but there there's always it just seems like there's always a way Howie knows how to bring someone in, and we've got a ton of draft picks to go out and get somebody. I think we've got 12 picks next year,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised. Elliott said it yesterday. Don't be surprised if they make a trade and bring in someone who they believe will solidify that cornerback position. But like I said, Dory Jackson did not play last night, so right now it's telling me that he's probably the number two.
Yeah.
But if he struggles, you've got all the way up to the trade deadline. Trade deadline goes up to week 7 now, something like that, or 6, maybe. I forget what it is.
Yeah. I can't remember.
So I mean, I wouldn't rule a trade out for a corner. Andrew
I've all.
Nakuba's going to go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry. I've always been. It always baffled me last year that they let Isaiah Rogers go.
Hmm.
Because they brought when Howie first signed him, he couldn't play that
Yep.
year because of the gambling ban. But when he come back, then he's young. He had time left on his contract where they wouldn't have had.
Yep.
I don't think they would have had to give him a deal. I'm not sure. Or they could have given him something. I don't think it would have cost a lot of money to bring him back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there was plenty of development left in him as well.
Yeah.
And he did show some flashes. There was a couple of catches that, some moments last year that he could have done better on. But all in all, he had a good year for us. He nearly intercepted Patrick Mahomes on that first drive of the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, when the defense were getting after him. You know what I mean? He came that close to getting it, and so that's always baffled me because they've got all these young guys now, even around the same age as him. They got Dory Jackson, who's like the vet really of that cornerback room now, and he hasn't looked fantastic. He's probably, like you said, he's probably got the job just because he's the veteran. He's got the most experience. Keely Ringo hasn't really stepped up like we've liked him done in preseason and stuff. And
Yep.
yeah, that's going to be a tough one because it's. I mean, they traded Booker, who was really good on defense
Yeah.
last year with the Jomo when they came in together, and when they both filled in the different spots, he looked just as good as a Jomo did.
Yep.
So they traded him away for that cornerback from the Raiders. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Let me see. Is it Bennett?
Yeah, Bennett.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen much of him. He made a good pass breakup last week's preseason game. But I mean, you would think when they brought him in, that was to win the job. But it doesn't look like he's won the job. So
No.
it's it's a strange one. That is probably. I mean, it is the talk of Philly at the moment. It is the talk of the town. Where what are they going to do cornerback too? Because the longer they leave it and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden Howie misses someone who was there that they could have
Yeah.
traded for. But like you said, Howie's pretty good at what I mean, finding these trade. I mean, look what he's just done now. He's brought in John Mechie. I said to you when it happened that I always liked watching John Mechie play for Alabama. He was really good, and you know what I mean? He's got a history of playing with Devontae Smith. I'm not sure if he played. I don't know if I think he played with Jalen Hurts at all.
He was there with Jalen. Yep.
He
He was
was
there at
he?
the same time. I think
Right.
he was a freshman too.
Yeah. Oh man, that's even better.
So
That's
the
even.
thing about it with John Mechie, man, I was very happy and excited, like just for receiver depth. I think Mechie has one more year after this left on his contract, and
Mm,
Dotson is in his final year. So
yeah.
Mechie could possibly be our slot receiver, like if Dotson gets injured, something like that. But a
Yeah.
lot of people were giving me shit because I was happy. I was like, I mean, this is good. So some people were giving me
Yeah.
shit about it on Twitter. They're like, well, this isn't the same John Mechie from Alabama. I'm like, but you got to look. This kid came back from injury and cancer. So
Yeah.
his NFL career has been delayed by injury and then worst of all by cancer. So
Mm,
I mean, if there's still something there, I believe, and you've just, I mean, we didn't give up much for him. We gave up a tight end that's probably not going to make the team, and we swapped
yeah.
pick positions or something in the
Yeah.
6th round or something like
Fifth and
that.
sixth round.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, the guy was a 2nd round pick, and Houston has a ton of depth at wide receiver, and they had no depth at tight end. I'm fine with the trade. Am I
Yeah.
expecting a lot this year? No, but I mean, you never know what you got till it gets out there on the field and you see what you got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah,
What?
I
What?
was tickled to death with that trade.
Yeah. I as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh my god! Like this is it is a steal because, like you said, I know he had the injury, he had cancer, and I think his first year then actually getting play time in the Texans wasn't even
Yeah.
with CJ Stroud. It was with
Yep.
the backup quarterback that they have when he was the starter. So, and they had a different head coach, and the Texans were terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he wasn't going to look good. You know what I mean? We'll see how good Travis Hunter looks in Jacksonville now. You know what I mean? With Trevor Lawrence, who
Yeah,
Trevor
I'm not a
Lawrence
big
isn't.
Travis Hunter guy.
Yeah, like
I'm not.
no, I mean, Corey. Remember, Corey from Columbus, a good mate. He's been on with us.
Yeah.
He's not a big Travis Hunter guy. You know what I mean? And not a lot of people are. I mean, we'll see how good he looks in Jacksonville now. I don't
Yeah.
think he's gonna with Trevor Lawrence as he caught. I mean, Dave. We'll talk about that now. That's a strange one, giving Trevor Lawrence all that money down there in Jacksonville. That is a strange one because to me, he's had plenty of time to show why he should, why he was the number one pick in the draft.
Well,
He just hasn't.
the one thing I will push back on that, his
Mm.
rookie year was basically derailed because of the Urban Meyer debacle. Like with
Yeah, yeah,
rookie quarterbacks, this is how I see it. Okay, if you got a top 5 rookie quarterback, to me, that means you've had a horrible year the previous year, right? So
yeah,
that means, okay, if it's a coach like, okay, the Bears, for instance. Last year they took Caleb Williams number 1, and they had a dead man walking as their head coach. Why on earth would you keep that guy who had never really shown anything as head coach or anything like that? And then they go out and they get Ben Johnson this year, and Caleb Williams
Mm.
still looks like crap. A rookie quarterback, man, they take in so much that first year. Like, it doesn't matter if you get a lot of wins, but you have to be able to get that good coaching, great coaching. Urban Meyer was an absentee coach down there. They fired his ass like 14, 13 games into the
Yeah,
season. It was a joke. And then they brought Doug in to kind of settle things out. But I mean, the talent is there for Trevor Lawrence, and if you believe you have the talent, you gotta
mm,
sign the guy. But I think the big mistake for them was giving up all they gave to get Travis Hunter. I think
yeah,
that was an absolute joke giving up what
yeah,
they give up to get Travis Hunter when they needed so much more.
yeah, yeah. That's why I just think it's not going to.
Yeah,
Don't think it's going to work. And I like Trevor. I like Trevor. He's a nice guy and all that, and you can see the potential is there, but he just hasn't really shown it. But yeah, going back to Mechie and like Dotson. Like I saw a clip of they were asking Dotson, like, well, how do you feel about John Mechie coming into the offense, and what advice would you give him? Because he came in around the same time last year, if you remember. You know what I mean? Towards the end of training camp, they traded for him from Washington, and and it took him a while to get going. They didn't really
yeah,
use him a lot, but when they did use him, he showed why. You saw the talent of Dotson when he was when he played for Washington, all he did was score touchdowns against the Eagles. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Every game he seemed to score against us. So he knew the talent was there, and eventually it showed, later into the season. And he said that one of the first things he's told John Mechie is to get in the playbook, like get his
Yeah.
head. Obviously, that's common sense for a football player. First thing you do is get your head into the playbook and learn the plays and learn the coaching and stuff. But
And that's something
maybe
else too.
yeah,
Really quick, I hate to interrupt you, but being with Devontae, like that can help him in his
oh,
headspace as well.
oh yeah, yeah,
because
because
because they were
Dawson
so
didn't
good
have that.
friends when they were at Alabama and everything.
Yeah,
That can help a player when you've struggled at the beginning of your career. If you get back with a guy that you were really tight with in college and stuff like that, that can help you in your headspace and help you develop more and become even more efficient. Sorry.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So I'd like to think, maybe obviously when Dotson came in, he didn't have that sort of opportunity where you had like Jalen and Devontae playing history and stuff. Maybe there was a couple of guys maybe he played with maybe previously in college or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
and maybe when he was saying, get in the playbook, he came in late. Maybe he didn't get that opportunity, or he didn't give himself the
Yeah.
opportunity to get in the playbook like he should have, possibly. Who knows? So, what I mean? It's really good advice. And I think John Mechie will be great. He caught a couple of passes from Kyle McCord last night, looked really, got in position where he needed to be on the route, really easy. So it looks like he hasn't missed, from that respect, he hasn't missed a step. But
Yep.
we see how that transfers into in the NFL now. But yeah, so, we'll move now on to the injury concerns. There's a big one, obviously, that we'll get into in a minute. But it's a real shame about Johnny Wilson as
Yeah.
after that
That's bad.
season-ending surgery. Um, you know, he showed signs last year that he was someone Jalen could go to in a tough spot. I think he caught a couple of touchdowns. I remember him catching one down in Dallas, which
Yeah.
the play was like starting to break up, and Jalen was like he couldn't see anyone, and then Johnny Wilson suddenly got open and he got it to him, and it was and he's looked really good in preseason before he got hurt. You know what I mean? Tanner
Yeah.
McKee was getting everything to him. He looked good last week, and then he got hurt, this week. And so it's a real shame, because he was starting to show flashes of something that he could grow into. You know what I mean? They obviously drafted him for a reason, and he was good in
Yeah.
Florida State. I remember watching him in Florida State, and he was really good for them. He was like
Yep.
one of their top players. So it's a real shame, and hopefully he'll be able to come back next year and bounce back. But
It was it his knee and ankles? Is that
yeah,
what I read? Was it
yeah,
like a
yeah.
practice injury?
Yeah, it's just in practice. He got carted off the field, and then it was like announced like an hour later he's got to have season-ending surgery, and it's like, oh man, you know what I mean? You see that, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like with Zach Wheeler now with the Phillies with the blood clot. You know what I mean? I mean, the guy could have
awesome.
died. You know what I mean? It's insane some of these injuries that these players have, and just. You know what I mean? Who knows when, Zach's probably not going to be able to come back. You know what I mean? He's got to prioritise his health, obviously, and his family. Sir. He's got a wife, he's got young kids. You know what I mean? So, but I think Rob Thompson's like giving an update about that today, I think, or something. Or soon, he said yesterday that they're going to find out soon a timeline. So we'll see. You never know. He probably wants to come back. You know, Zach Wheeler, he's a tough guy. He's a gamer. He wants to help the Phillies as much as he can. So we'll see. But yeah, just the big injury that came out, which I was like shitting myself, and I think everyone was when they saw when I'll say I thought everything is going to go tits up and the world is collapsing, was Landon Dickerson going down in that the Corey went there. Corey was there in Philly for the live practice at the link, and Landon Dickerson went down, and it didn't even at first it just looked like he lost the battle at the line and he was shoved down, he was pushed down. But I suppose you don't realize that these guys are so big and they've got muscle and the weight on top, and you've got guys just as big, pushing on you to win the battle at the line of scrimmage. So and to us, it just looks like, oh, he got shoved down. How was he hurt his knee from that, but it does, it happens, and he's unfortunately got a little bit of an injury history. He missed his year. I think he missed more half of the last year of Alabama before he got drafted. I remember because I remember in the draft that year there was two players I really wanted the Eagles to draft, and I wanted Devontae Smith and I wanted Landon Dickerson, even though there wasn't a lot of Landon Dickerson from what I had seen.
And you got them both.
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna be perfect, you know what I mean? And they got Devontae, and it was fantastic. So yeah. So how do you feel, Jess? Do you think Landon will, the surgery that he's had, the meniscus surgery that he's had, it's like a temporary fix, is what we've all seen. It's not a complete repair, but it will do the job temporarily, so you can sort of have a shorter timeline of recovery to come back. So there's that clip going around online. I don't know if you've seen it, where from the WCW days where Kevin Nash is sitting in the wheelchair and he's got a long cast on his leg, and all of a sudden he gets up, he goes in the ring, powerbombs Scott Steiner and wins the time. And they've got Landon Dickerson's face with the Dallas Cowboys star on Scott Steiner. It's hilarious. And it's Landon Dickerson week 1. So do you think there's a possibility of that? Do you think he's? I mean, I know what Landon Dickerson's like. He's all about the violence. He wants to come and kick ass. So he's going to work as hard as he can. So do you think he'll make it back for week 1 for Dallas?
Yeah, I think he can, but I don't want him to risk anything for the season. If he's not 100% for Dallas, don't play him.
Yeah,
that's my look at it. If you don't think he's going to be 100%, I don't want to risk losing him for the season for 1 or 2 games at the beginning of the season. Is how I look at it. I don't know who the number 2 guard is at left guard. I don't know if it's Trevor Keegan. I don't know who it could be.
Brett Toth looks to be the guy winning the job.
He played a lot last night, so I mean, I don't put anything past Dickerson. I mean, we saw him gut it out in the NFC Championship game?
Yeah,
he had to play at center for the first half.
Yeah.
And then
there was even a question,
he had to come out.
Play the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then he came back and played in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, I mean, we know he's tough. He's tougher than a pine knot. But it's the beginning of the season. So, like I said, I don't want to see him risk the entire season for 1 or 2 games. If he needs to sit out to week 2, week 3 to get 100%, that's what I would rather have.
Yeah. The tough thing is, right, is it's that 4-game stretch, that first 4-game stretch that we have. That's the toughest part of our schedule this year. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. We've got a tough schedule. we're Super Bowl champs. You know, the Chiefs every year they're expected to play a number one schedule. You know what I mean? You know, the Bills play tough schedule. You know what I mean? But you know, that first 4 game slot, and then I think after after the bye week, possibly, or just before the bye week, there's like a stretch of games that they'll need to go on a bit of a winning streak if they've been struggling. You know, they got the Broncos, the Raiders, the Giants, you know, and then it's but that first 4 game stretch, you know, Dallas, we don't know what they're going to look like, what Dak is going to look like. There's obviously the whole drama with Micah Parsons. Is he getting traded or not? You know what I mean? It's a disaster, but we just don't know what they're going to come out looking like. You know what I mean? Then you've got the Chiefs, the Super Bowl rematch, which is a bit. It's that in itself is ridiculous. Second game of the season, you leave that game for when both teams are, you know, sort of, you know what I mean? That's a game where you can move it around a bit in the middle of it because you want to see how both sides are faring in the season. You know what I mean? If the Eagles are playing really well for 3 games and the Chiefs are playing really well for 3 games, then move that game. You know what I mean? So then it's both teams are playing well and you want to see a really good boxing match. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not in week 2 where the starters are still trying to find their rhythm and stuff, you know. But anyway, then it's the Rams.
That's what I was about to say because it's going to be preseason still yet for the starters. We saw how slowly we started last year.
We
started
out
out
the gate
in Brazil. We started out in Brazil last year against the Packers, and everything really didn't start clicking until after week 4. These preseason games suck. God, they're awful. I mean, it's fun to see these guys out there. But last night, dude, I didn't watch last night's game till this morning, and I didn't make it through it. You text me like, "Hey, is there any chance we can start a little early this morning?" I'm like, "I'm still watching last night's game. Hell yes, let's start it." This is so boring.
It was awful.
I can't take it, dude. And I know these guys are out there fighting for a job and stuff like
of
that.
course.
But my God, it's
it's
just hard to get through, man. It is.
It's that's the worry is if Landon comes back too early, it's going to really affect the confidence of the team because that 4 game stretch is just so difficult, man. Like I know it's going to be a lot of I'm getting excited obviously as we get closer to the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Super Bowl banner night. You know what I mean? The Cowboys come into town.
Thursday night football.
They can.
I ain't got to get up and go to work the next day.
Yeah. But I don't care. And I've actually made a bit of a blunder myself because I actually thought that I had booked the day off afterwards with my work, but I haven't. So and it's that week. Eddie is his first day of school, so I've had to keep that day for Eddie's first day of school because we've got to take Eddie to school and get him and all that. So so obviously that's got to come first. But I'll still be up. I'll be up at 1 a.m. in the UK watching the game, and then I'll just work. I'll be fine. But
so do you want to do a post game pod that night?
I mean, we could. We could do. We may. I mean, we see close to the time, depending on the result. Because, like when the schedule first came out, and I saw Cowboys week 1, we're kicking off the season with the Cowboys. I was like, right, I know history. The last 3-4 years. We've been slow out of the gate week 1. You know what I mean? We take 2 or 3 weeks. Like Brandon Graham said last year, didn't he? He had that famous quote of like, well, the first 4 games, to us, more or less like preseason games still, because we're still trying to get acclimated in the offense and the defense. But it's like, it's not good hearing that because when you see a lot of other teams, they come out the gate firing, as with the Eagles, we're slow out the gates. So with it being Super Bowl banner night, and you got our biggest, rival in football, our NFC East rival. You know what I mean? It's always usually between us and the Cowboys to win the NFC East every year. So you know what I mean? This is I don't want to hear any excuses after this game. I don't want to see anyone being like, "Oh, it's week 1 and always banner night and blah blah blah." No, you can't lose to the Cowboys week 1 banner night with the disaster that it is down in Dallas at the moment with Jerry Jones and his drama, and all he cares about is being on Netflix and being, in the media. He's not going to pay Micah Parsons. Maybe he does pay Micah Parsons, and it's all an absolute drama, which is probably what will end up happening. Jerry Jones just wants to drag out the attention and the ratings for as long as he can. You cannot let the Cowboys come to Philly on Super Bowl banner night and embarrass us. That will be a disastrous start to the season when you want to go. Obviously, the Eagles are not seen it as we're trying to go back to back. They've got the right. Luckily, the coaches and the players have the right mentality where they take it one game at a time and that one play at a time, one game at a time, and that's how it is. But for us as fans, it's different. We because we get our joy of sports from them. You know what I mean? So we don't want to be. I don't want to be sitting there at 2:30 in the morning at the end of the second quarter. I'm going to be messaging you and Drew and Corey, and I'll be like, what the hell are they doing? What's going on? I want to be sitting there at halftime or wherever at the end of the game, happy because they've done the right thing. They've done their job. But I don't know. Like
and losing it, like I don't want to put it out there, put it out into the atmosphere or whatever. But like losing opening weekend when you hang in your second Super Bowl banner and it's on a damn Thursday and you've got to wait till the next Sunday to get that taste out of your mouth. But you're going against the Chiefs.
So then you got to go to Kansas.
You have to get out.
Yeah,
you have to get out and win. You have to get out there and win that first game.
Yeah, it's so important this year. More than ever. You know what I mean? They can, and I don't honestly know what the Cowboys are going to look like. You know what I mean? I haven't heard much out of their training camp because obviously, unfortunately for them, all the talk is around Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones and his comments here, comments there, being on that thing on. I am not even going to watch that thing on Netflix, America's Team and all that. That is just. I hate when people say it's America's Team. I'm not American. I'm not from America, but I've been to America. I love going to America. And I know that they aren't America's team. America was born in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? It wasn't born in Dallas, Texas. You know what I mean?
So my thought. The one thing I'm not going to watch the Netflix thing, but I am going to watch the final episode of the Chiefs Kingdom.
Yes,
that's the one I'm looking forward to. I've not watched any of it, but I will watch the final episode of that. That's going to be good to see.
I've seen one clip on Twitter the other day, and it was when it was during the Cooper DeJean pick six, and you see Patrick Mahomes' wife, and you see the owner and the general manager, and they're just all in dismay, and they're like, it's like they know it's over. But you look back at that point, it was only 13-0 after DeJean's touchdown. The Chiefs still had time. That was still in the first half of the game. They still had time to come back, and I was expecting them to in the second half to come out fighting, but we kept our foot on the gas and we killed them and it was great. But yeah, so I haven't watched that episode yet, and that's the only one I'm going to watch because
it's the only one worth watching to me.
Yeah, I can't watch any of the bull crap that they're going to spew before the dreams of the three-peat and the Taylor Swift nonsense. And I'll be watching the last episode, and I'll be starting it when it gets to the Super Bowl game, and I'm just going to watch them be miserable because who knows when we'll be able to enjoy that moment again. So yeah.
Exactly.
So Jess,
let me pose a question to you real quick, or do you want to wait till the end of the show? This is kind of a hypothetical that they done on the afternoon show yesterday.
No, go on, because I'm still catching up on yesterday's show, so I don't even know what you're going to ask me. So go on.
So the topic at hand, and I'm a Red Sox fan. The topic at
good
hand
win last night.
That's
the Yankees. Good win.
Yes, 1-0. Terrible loss for the Phils. That sucked. We'll get to that later if you want to.
Yeah.
So Spike said, if you had your choice, would you rather have Eagles go back to back or the Phillies win the Super Bowl? And after you make your decision, you get your mind wiped, kind of like Men in Black style, where you don't know,
yeah,
nothing ever happened and all that.
yeah.
So I know what my answer was. My answer is still the same. But what would you say? You're a true Philadelphia Phillies and Eagles fan. Red Sox are my favorite team, but Phillies are right there. Phillies are daggone close, but they're not my team. So
Yeah,
what would you
I
say?
know. It's obviously I know your answer. It's the Eagles go back to back, obviously. But oh man, it's a tough one because it's just been. I think I'll go. To be honest, I'm probably with you. I'm probably the Eagles go back to back because I would love. I and I. Oh, I'm so like torn because it's a
You
shit.
sound like Ike.
Yeah. I can hear that drop like I took a needle in the ass coming over me. I just like I. It's tough because I'm of like I'd love to see Jalen go back and do it again and rub it in everyone's faces again because no doubt this year there's going to be a moment in time where Jalen is struggling. They can't pass the ball. They've got to rely on running the ball. Who knows when it might not happen? It might happen. Who knows? But there will. Every quarterback during the season has his struggle. You know. So there'll
Yeah,
be that period, and then you're gonna have the likes of, and I love Ike, Spike, and Jack, and I love WIP, and I've even started branching out to the Fanatic afternoon show, Unfiltered, and that's really quite good
yeah,
as well. But I'm a WIP like Foxhole guy, but
yeah,
there'll be that time then obviously where like Ike, not Ike, but like Jack, Spike, Joe DeCamera, Joe Giglio, there'll be that thing of like, oh, Jalen is playing terrible, Jalen's not doing this, he's not doing that. There'll be that criticism. And if he is, not playing well, then he deserves that criticism. You can't be biased, you know what I mean? Just because you like Jalen Hurts, you've got to criticize him. And we do. We love Jalen Hurts, but we can recognize that he has flaws. So for me, I'd love to see Eagles go back to back. I think because just to see Jalen rub it in their face and all the questions around Nick Sirianni and you know what I mean. Is if we are going to be the Super Bowl champs, we have to prove why we are the Super Bowl champs. You know what I mean. We are up there now with the Chiefs and the Bills and the Patriots legacy. Obviously the Patriots are not good anymore, but you know what I mean? The Patriots were that team to beat. Then it was the Chiefs and the Bills are getting there, and you know what I mean. So we are that standard now, and we have to. We've never been in such a better spot to prove that we are that standard in the NFL. But then I'd love to see the Phillies because I'd love to see them do it, but I just. As great as that Mariners series was just now, where they wiped the floor with them, they swept them, and you know, last night they had Duran had that blown save.
yeah,
It seems to me like what the Washington have just like got their number this year. They struggled in Washington as well.
yeah,
But the Phillies just let you down so much. You know what I mean? They went to the World Series. They weren't expecting to go to the World Series. It was a great run. But really, people are like use that as an excuse. So it doesn't matter that they lost the World Series, even though they went there. It's okay. But they could have won that series. You know what I mean? They had a no hitter against the Astros. That shouldn't have
yeah,
happened. You know what I mean? And then the next year they had the lead on the Diamondbacks and they blew it when they let the Diamondbacks
yep,
come back to Philly. They blew it. And then last year out straight off the gate against the Mets. It was a
yep.
disaster. And don't get me wrong,
So
I'm with you. I think it's great what Jack has done this year. No one can steal that from Jack. You know what I mean?
no,
Burn the
no.
boats. It's Jack's. And I'm with him 100%. Because at this point, if Wheeler doesn't come back, you know what I mean? The trade deadline was okay because we got Duran, we got a closer, but we didn't get out. Harrison Bader is looking okay, but he's not going to be that backfield is not going to be the game changer that we needed to be in the world for the World Series to win it. It's not. They don't give you enough. So I'm all for burning the boats, and I want to burn the boats, just go out there, go hell for leather. But it's not. I can't see the Phillies even go into the World Series, to be honest with you. Yeah.
So
I
since
know that
you've
was
not heard the
long-winded, and I
afternoon.
went on.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Let me tell you my answer. What I told the afternoon guys yesterday.
Yeah.
I am an Eagles fan to the core.
Mm.
You can ask my wife, my son. I love the Eagles as much as I love my Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah.
I have seen the Eagles win 2 Super Bowls. I've seen the Eagles lose 2 Super Bowls.
Mm.
I have seen the Red Sox win 4 World Series. I say burn the damn boats. I would pick the
Ooh.
Phillies. I would
Wow.
pick the Phillies to win a World Series, but this is why. Now, this is me having blind faith in Howie Roseman and the Eagles organization and Jalen Hurts and that
Mm.
team. That team is so young. They have. I saw this yesterday, and I forgot to send it to you. I saw it on Twitter. It was a list of players
Mm.
on the teams. One was the Eagles, the other was the Commanders. Age of 30 or more. The Eagles had 6. Only,
Wow.
in my opinion, 2. I forget. Like Lane was one of them, but anyway, like Lane and somebody else out of those 6 were the only ones that I seen making the roster. The
Man.
Commanders had, it seemed like 15, 20 guys on that were age of 30 or more.
Yeah.
I think if the Phillies are going to do it, they have to do it this year. I would like to see them do it with this core, with Bryce, with Schwarber, with Realmuto. Do it for Wheels, because we
Mm.
know Wheels ain't coming back this year. If Wheels comes
No.
back this year, because a couple of weeks ago, you, me, and Drew were talking, like, could you imagine Wheeler coming out of the bullpen
Yeah.
to close
Yeah.
out a game and all that? That's done.
Mm.
Seeing
Yeah.
that is about 99.99999% done.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that core win a World Series. See Bryce. Bryce, ever since he's came into the league, has been one of my favorite players. And you can have guys that you root for on other teams. You don't have to be a fan of that team. That's
Mm.
what I've tried to tell my son. Owen is a diehard Red Sox fan. He gives me shit
Yeah.
for rooting for the Phillies, and I said, look, for me, rooting for the Phils is easy, because if you have a team to root for in the National League, which I know it's different now. Used to, you never saw a National League team until you got to the
Yeah.
World Series. But you can have kind of 2 teams to kind of root for. But I would, if it comes down to Red Sox Phils in the World Series, y'all's about to see the biggest heel turn in WIP history. People's going to hate Justin from Tennessee if it's Red
Your
Sox Phils in
your
the
heel
World
turn will
Series.
be better than how
It's going
John
to be like
Cena's went.
Hollywood Hogan. Yeah, it's going to be like Hollywood Hogan turning heel. People's going to be
Oh.
hating on me. But
Yeah.
I would take a Phillies World Series, because I believe the Eagles are so young. I believe in that whole setup, Mr. Lurie, Howie,
Mm.
the Nick Sirianni. I believe in them so much that I
Yeah.
think they can go back and win more if they don't do it this year.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't know that this Phillies team can do it. You don't know if Schwarber's going to be back next year. Everybody
Mm.
believes Schwarber's going to be back. Everybody, but you saw all that crap out in Cincinnati where they were just bending over
Yeah.
backwards saying, "Here, look at us." And that was his favorite team growing up.
Yeah.
Every guy probably wants to play for his favorite team when they're growing
Mm.
up. If I would have been a friggin' NFL player, I would have wanted to play for the Eagles. Would I have turned
Mm.
down money from another team that picked me? No, I would not. But come free agency time, if I could work my way out and go play for the Eagles, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew I had you when you said Eagles. I'm like, holy shit, Adam's gonna die. And guess who else picked the Phillies? Icarus picked the Phillies.
Wow.
Icarus picked the
Wow.
Phillies as well. Now I did
Man.
not get to hear about the last hour of the show. Me and Amanda went out to have an early dinner because neither one of us
Mm.
ate any lunch yesterday. So I didn't get to hear like I didn't hear anything after top 5 at 5 yesterday.
Mm.
But yes, I would pick the Phils over the Eagles to win a World Series over the Eagles going back to back. And I know there's not a lot of teams that you have back to back championships with, back to back Super
Yeah.
Bowls. You've got the Patriots, the Broncos, uh, Shit, the 49ers, the Cowboys.
The Dolphins did the
There's
Dolphins. Didn't the Dolphins do
I
it
think
back
the
in the day?
Dolphins, the Steelers done it twice. Out of their
Mm,
four, they won two. There was a year or two they were kind of out of. The Chiefs won back to back. There's a
mm,
handful of teams
yeah.
that have went back to back, and that would put us in that upper realm. I know what it would
Oh
do
man.
for like to put for Eagles fans and like for the organization. But yeah, I
Yeah.
knew you would be shocked when I said Phils.
Oh shit. I want to change my
And
answer now.
and guess how shocked Jack was when I gave him my answer yesterday when I
Oh,
called
I
in because
bet.
I called in early and for in real quick this is for everybody that calls the show bitching and griping because they have to sit on hold. I was on hold for an hour and a half.
Mm,
Justin from Tennessee was on hold for an hour and a half. So there ain't no preferential treatment, y'all. I mean, just feel blessed that they come to you and let you get on there and speak whatever bullshit opinion you got and try to have
exactly. Yeah.
fun with it, guys, when you
Yeah.
call in. But yeah. Jack was floored because when I gave him this whole spiel about the Eagles and I said, but you know what, guys? I said, burn the damn boats.
Oh
And
man.
Jack was like, so
Oh
that's that's my thought. Sorry.
shit, man. I want to change my answer now. I want to go with the Phillies, mate. But I mean, the good thing for me is because I'm only, I can only be the Eagles and the Phillies. You know what I mean? So for me, if the Phillies get there, obviously I'll be as happy as everyone else will be. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, but I just and hey, it's gonna be tough for the Eagles to get back to back. It is.
Yes.
The
Yes.
season hasn't started yet, so who knows? And hopefully we'll go on a magical ride. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for the Phils. I love the burn the boats thing. What I mean, I think it's really gonna, I think the do it for Wheeler is really gonna get. It seems like it's getting the
Yep.
team going. You know what I mean? Even last night, I know they lost, but they fought back. I mean? The bats were fighting back. They were getting hits. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You saw Bryson Stott is getting hot.
Start
Real,
swing. Yep. Start
yeah. He's
swinging the
changed.
bat better.
He's
He's changed his
changed his.
stance. He's Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
It was higher.
He,
It's lower and close now. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
JT is getting hot. I mean,
Yep.
I love watching JT Realmuto hit a home run. He hits it the
Yeah.
same way every time, and he absolutely wallops the ball. It's not like
Yep.
it just gets over the fence for 300 feet. It goes up high, nearly to the second deck every time. He hits the same type of
Yep.
homer. And I love hearing John Kruk call his home runs because John Kruk is surprised as everyone else, and he just said whatever's in his head just comes out of his mouth. It's fantastic. You know what I mean? And he's right. He's right about the clock. He's right about the clock. Did you hear that
Yeah.
thing about the clock? Where, he said he said to Tom McCarthy a couple of nights ago. He said, so Tom, with the person who invented the clock, how did they know it was the right time? How did they know what the time was? You know what I mean? He was like, how was that? How was he meant to know what time you know what I mean? Like the guy who invented
Yeah.
time, and it was so funny. So Spike and I were ripping him a bit on because they were saying about this. They had to go by the sundial. You know what I mean? The sundials.
Yeah.
But Jack was
Kruk
like,
is hilarious, dude.
yeah. Jack was like, yeah, but I'm with Kruk because how do you know the sundial is right? Yeah, it's a valid question, But
so I had them all. I had them all in the blender yesterday. I dropped a new saying on them, something that I'd heard before but kind of forgot. And they were talking about a convention thing going on. So the new saying for anybody that really didn't understand me because they were after my call were kind of joking and like, now what did he say again? And I was just going crazy like, damn, he's like, I don't know, it was funny, So they were talking about a furry convention, and Hugh was going to go and just see what it was all about and all this stuff. And
Oh.
then Bruce from DC or somebody like that called in and said he was going to go and dress up like a wolf. And then they go to me and they're like, "We bet this guy's been to a few furry conventions." And I said, hell no. I said, "You'd rather try to sandpaper a bobcat's ass in a phone booth and try to get me to go to a furry convention." And Icarus has damn near lost it. And then Spike brung up the crow with the two Peters, and Jack's like a
Oh.
sandpaper. He said, "Are bobcats real?" Jack didn't even know if bobcats were a real thing. It was
Oh my
funny, but
God.
yeah, you. So
Yeah.
if Eddie, when Eddie gets out of line and starts messing with you when he gets a little older, look him dead in the eye and say, "Eddie, you'd rather sandpaper a bobcat's ass in a phone booth than to mess with me, son." Let him know who's boss, Adam.
Oh, I will. I will. Believe me. I've had to start going down that road already. He's 3 years old and he's full of attitude already. Like he's such a big personality. Hopefully we can
That's good, man.
hopefully we can back out to America one day and you can meet them and you
That'd
blow
be
me away.
awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so just I think we'll call it there. Yeah, it's a new season is upon us.
Yes,
The
sir.
Eagles they got a number one schedule, so they got a show every week why they play that number one schedules because they are a Super Bowl champion. They're coming off winning a Super
Yep.
Bowl, so it's a long road ahead. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious, but I can't wait to be. Obviously over the summer this year, the podcast is staggered because we're not going to do a podcast every single week for the Phillies because it's 162
Yeah.
games. It's impossible with work schedules and family life, and there's not really that need. You know what I mean? We've covered the draft, free agency, the high and low points of the Philly season so far. We got Red October coming, so we'll do some Red October shows. Hopefully, it's a long Red October this year and not a short Red October like last year. So
yeah.
but there we are. So. Yeah,
Real
week
quick
one
on the
is
fields, let me throw something out on the fields real quick. I know Rob likes to tinker with the lineup and platoon guys. From here out, this is my opinion what he should do. He should platoon Kepler and Casti in right field, keep Bader in center, and keep Marsh in left.
it's
Play
working.
Bader every
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Play Bader and Marsh every day, and platoon
yeah,
Casti and Kepler. I think Bader would be much better off playing every day. But that's my final thought on the fields.
Kepler is hitting a lot better since he's been playing right field. I don't exactly know what the numbers are, but obviously Castellanos has took a bit of a dip, but you can still partially rely on Nick Castellanos. But I think for the time being, definitely platoon Kepler and Castellanos. You trade for Bader, well then you play him every single day if you're going to trade for him at the end of the day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He's the every center fielder. Marsh is hitting better. He's really good in left field. So yeah, it's working. So yeah, everyone, week one is 2 weeks away. It's going to be, I'll be watching live. Justin will be watching live, as we all will be watching live. We can't wait. It's going to be Super Bowl banner night. The Dallas Cowgirls are coming to town. Yeah, we're going to see what Jerry does with Micah. We're going to see how Dak looks. So yeah, it's this year. The birds are back, and
it's football time, y'all.
Yeah,
College football starts today, 12 noon. K-State, Iowa State.
Yeah, the Vols will be back soon as well. So we'll get Justin's. Yeah, there it is. Justin's college corner will be back soon. So that's gonna be back. And as always, thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate every single like and a follow and a watch. So give us a watch on YouTube, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, like, follow, subscribe, and fly Eagles fly, go Birds, burn the boats.
Burn the boats, go Birds, go Vols. Love y'all, man.